Hi, and welcome to today's episode of Women's Health Unwrapped. It's just me today. I'm on my own for a shorty episode, although I always say it's going to be a short episode when I'm doing a solo one, and then it usually ends up not being. But yeah, today I really would like it to be a short one because this is a brilliant topic that I want to get stuck straight into, and I want you to be really inspired about. Today, I'm going to be giving you the secret to my healthy life. Now, people are always asking me what I do to be healthy. They want to know how I've got so much willpower and discipline. They're curious about what I have that means I can stick to my habits in things like healthy eating, exercising, drinking water. So I thought I'd share my secret with you. Now, the secret is that I use my superpower. And the good news is that every single one of us has this superpower. The problem is that most of us don't realise we have it, and so we're not using it in the optimal way. Now, hopefully today you're going to realise that you can start to take advantage of your superpower more so that you can build the healthier life you want for yourself, so that you can stop feeling drained, overwhelmed, frazzled, maybe dragged down by those perimenopause symptoms that have been coming at you like a steam train, knocking you off balance. That balancing act you were just about to keep up, that with these symptoms is nigh on impossible. So, what is this superpower we all have? I hear you asking. It's your habits. Yes, habits are your superpower. They're the behaviours and thoughts that become embed into your subconscious mind so that you do them automatically. Habits just become a part of who you are. Our brain turns those actions and behaviours, the things that we do regularly and repeat time and time again, the brain turns them into habits so that we do them automatically without any thought. And this frees up energy. It frees up power that the brain would otherwise need so that it can conserve that energy for what it really needs to do, which is survival. That's more important to the brain. So the habits are basically a shortcut, an efficient way of the brain making sure that you as a human are working in a way to conserve energy for when it's really needed. And the habits are stored in a region of the brain called the basal ganglia. And that, just allows us to function better in life. I'm sure at some point, probably many points, in fact, you've tried to build a new habit and it failed. Now, habits take time to form because it's through the repetition that they become automatic. Like your brain needs to learn that behavior or thought, and it learns that by you repeating the action consistently over time, and it thinks, oh, this is important to Nicola, this thing that she keeps doing, and it's happening every time she does this, or when the time is this, or when this happens. They're called cues. Now, I'm not going to go into the way that we form habits in this episode. I want to focus more on my superpower and sharing with you the habits that help me to live healthy so you can get an insight into my life. But, think about some of those habits you've got, like brushing your teeth, fastening your shoelaces, even when you put on a pair of jeans or trousers. I bet one leg always goes in before the other because it's a habit. And then there's the thoughts that you have. When something doesn't go right in life, like you would naturally think one way, or something does go right and you naturally think that way, or maybe it's the thoughts around how you are as a person and what your value and worth is. Thoughts are also habits, just like actions. And it's said that about 40% of our daily activities and decisions are habits. Okay, so that's a huge amount of what we're doing in our daily lives that is coming from our subconscious mind. Now, it's not about willpower or discipline. It's about habits, right? So it's impossible for any one of us really to be always forcing ourselves, for example, to eat healthier or to exercise. And this is why when you take that approach, for many people, it just fails. That attempt to build the new habit fails because they're doing it with like force and probably having to give up other stuff and remember to do it. And it's too hard to be like that for very long. And at the start, yeah, habits do need commitment. They do require you to commit to wanting that to happen. When you're building intentional habits anyway, you're going to have to put some effort in and be consistent because it is that repetition that creates the habit. And this is what I specialize in supporting women to do, because there's a key to making this happen at the start of the process of building any new habit so that you can be consistent and you can start to put the effort in and gain the momentum. But once you get momentum and you stay consistent, the thing that you're doing to build a new habit will form in your brain as an automatic behavior, and that will become a habit so that it's just part of who you are. And this is why I call habits your superpower, because they are a core part of who you are. They perform automatically, they happen automatically, whether it's an action or a thought, because once they're a habit, your brain does them automatically when it gets the cue. So it just is a part of how you go about your day, your routines and lifestyle. So that habits happen without you having to remember to do them and push yourself to make happen. And this is the secret to me living a healthy life. This is the secret to not just living a healthy life, but to living the way you want to live. And if you look at many other perhaps entrepreneurs, famous entrepreneurs, business owners, or you listen to some of the motivational speakers that are out there like Mel Robbins, they talk a lot about the power of habits, because habits form who you are. They make up your identity. And so for me, like, my habits have meant that I am a person who values her health. I am a person who eats healthy to fuel my mind and body the way I want it to be fueled. I am a person who wants to live a long, strong life. And so the actions that I take are in alignment with that, because they're my identity now. My habits are just a part of who I am. And habits might not be sexy, especially at the start when there is that bit of effort and motivation and consistency required, but they are powerful. I'm going to take you behind the scenes of my life and share my most impactful habits, which I'm sure will help you to think about building your own healthier habits so that you can live a healthy, happy life. So hopefully you're going to get some tips from what I'm going to share with you today. And actually, when I started to plan out this episode, I had to give it quite some thought, because I was like, well, what habits do I actually have? And there's one, which is the one I'm going to start with, which sprung to mind immediately. And that was like, yeah, that's it. But the thing is, because they're automatic and they are just a part of who I am, even though I do what I do, I think it's easy to overlook that I have built these things as habits. And they're the things that, people, especially when I used to work in corporate at Nike and would be amongst other people every day, that they would look upon and go, oh, you're so good because you do this, and how do you manage to do that? So yeah, these are the key ones for me. Now, the first one is moving my body, and this is in any way that I can. I'm a person who just looks for opportunity to move. I just want to move because I know that when I move, I'm building strong health, and that's physical and mental. So this isn't just about working out a few times a week. I want to move and I want to challenge my body whenever I can. Like, taking stairs instead of a lift, or parking further away from the supermarket doors. That's one that is just naturally how I am. And I see everybody else driving round and round, trying to get a space, the supermarket or the shopping centre, the metro centre near where I live, trying to be as close to the door as they can. Just park further away. It's easier, but also it's better for you. Now, we are designed to move as humans, and yet our lifestyle for many of us, certainly in westernized cultures, is one that's very sedentary. We're not moving anywhere near as often as we used to. So finding those opportunities to move throughout your everyday life is a really brilliant and impactful habit to embed into who you are. Now, I call movement my keystone habit. This is something I work with clients on when they come into my signature 12-week coaching program, because that keystone habit is really the thing that is at the core of who you are in terms of how you want to feel and live. It really does make up your identity in a very important and impactful way. And I thought I'd share a little bit about how I moved from someone who would exercise to someone who has this movement habit. I used to exercise for weight loss and did it to try to look what I thought was a normal way, to hit a number on the scale, to be a certain size in clothes, because I thought that was normal and what would help me to have the confidence I was so desperate for. And I know now that I was trying to fix my lack of inner worth. So your worth is the value that you have for yourself, and we should all have that self-worth. That's that real internal value that isn't altered by doing something wrong at work or not delivering a presentation as good as you want it to. This is the internal worth. Now, the confidence is more of the external. But I thought, if I can just lose weight and look a certain way, and if I hammer the exercise, beast it, as we used to say in the gym back in the day, then I'm going to lose that weight, look the way I think I should look, and fix my confidence. And ta-da, I'll be fixed. I'll be happy. I'll be able to have that confidence at work and not worry about being anxious and having panic attacks and so on. Now, I started to shift that way of thinking and exercising back in 2017 when I started the Body Coach plan. And I really learned through doing that plan about strength and feeling strong. And that's when I started to see exercise as movement for body and mind. That was the real key. And I really did fall in love with moving my body and doing strength training to become stronger. And this was really the kind of starting point to my bigger transformation in 2021. It built those foundations. I didn't really know that at the time, but I knew that once I started to go through my bigger transformation in 2021. And just that power of lifting weights. And right now I'm not lifting really heavy weights because I've been gradually building back after having some back problems. But I just love that challenge mentally as well as physically of lifting weights, even if it's those 2-3 kilogram dumbbells. And for me, it was that approach to working out in that way with weights, with really challenging myself mentally through the strength training. That was a turning point for me to begin to build confidence and self-worth, and then start questioning the way that I was feeling and living, and knowing that I had to shift how this was because I wasn't happy and I certainly wasn't healthy. So for me, I just love to move my body because it aligns to what I want for myself in my life, which is to live long, to live strong with good mobility, cognitive function, to do the things that I want to do right now, but definitely down the line. So that's what I call my keystone habit, and it really is at the core of me. And when I had my back problems the last quarter of last year and especially through the first half of this year, and I wasn't able to move my body in the way that I like to, especially with strength training, it it really did affect me mentally as well, because I didn't feel like me anymore. And that's the thing with habits. If any of you have read Atomic Habits by James Clear, you'll know he talks about habits forming your identity. So that's the first big one for me. And then the next one is drinking water. And I kind of didn't think about this at first, because again, for me, I just drink water. And I've always drank water. But I know when I worked at Nike, I would always have comments about the fact I carried a water bottle, that I was so good because I didn't drink lots of caffeine during the day, and some people having like 8 cups of tea a day and so on. So for me, yeah, it's just a part of who I am. And I start my day with hot water and lemon juice, fresh squeezed lemon. And I've done this for probably more than 20 years. It helps me to hydrate after a night in bed. It supports good digestion. It gets me focused. That zing of the lemon on a morning is really good. And because it's a habit, I do it. I just need it. Even when I'm on holiday, I try to still have it if I can get hold of the lemons. And, I just want to do it because I like the way that it makes me feel. Now, something else it's really benefited is my skin. And I always do, I was going to say often, but actually I'll say always, get comments about how good my skin is. Now, something that women tend to miss is that good skin starts on the inside. Yes, we can buy all the products and put all of the great stuff on our skin, but it starts inside in your gut. The healthier your gut is, right, and the easier your body can detoxify, so eliminate those toxins, and we also need to eliminate hormones. That's part of the detoxification process, which is especially important as we come into menopause. The better your skin will be. And I drink water through the day. If you're on video, I'll show you. I've got my water bottle here. It's always there, and it's definitely one of the habits that overall has and is impacting how healthy I am. One of my other habits is starting my day with movement outside. Now, I love my commute to work walk, as I call it, which I try to do most mornings. It does depend on my agenda. And I just love the benefit that I get from the fresh air, that morning light, moving my body. And it really helps transition between home and work, since I work at home most days. So I call it a commute to work, but I'm leaving the front door, going back to the front door. But yeah, that's a really good one for me that just helps to set the day up and get focused. I usually listen to a podcast, and I find that that's a bit of the mindfulness that I like in my morning routine as well, or the mindset piece to help get in the zone and start engaging my brain. And actually, getting outside for walks, even short 10-minute walks at odd times through the day, is a habit I've really worked on over the past probably year and a half. But taking little what I call walking snacks, like having a 10-minute walk after lunch, or perhaps in the afternoon if I've had a big meeting, like I've delivered something for a corporate client and it's been really intense, or that afternoon slump many of us get in our energy, to get outside and just get moving. Now, another big one for me, and it's easy to think, well, is this really a habit? But it is. It's actually formed of lots of habits. But the big umbrella habit is meal planning and prepping. And this is something I am known for amongst friends, family, people who know me. And, I used to be really admired for it in my corporate days, because I would turn up at the office with my insulated M&S food bag, and it would be filled with breakfast, lunch, any snacks, my water. And there were times I'd have to work in London all week. The job that I had meant I was in London quite often, but every quarter I may have to be in London for a week, or a week and then back again for the next week. And I was laughed at because I'd take my NutriBullet with me. But for me, that was perfect, because it meant I could have a healthy smoothie, start the day with some good nutritious, fruits and fibre, perhaps put some oats in. I'd buy the bits at the little Sainsbury's along the road from the office. But because I was in the middle of London staying in a hotel, I could have easily opted for the breakfast at the hotel, but then that for me just wasn't what I enjoyed eating and knew I would feel good by eating. Like probably very carb heavy, ultra processed type foods. So for me, taking my NutriBullet to start the day was again easy because that's just part of who I am. I like to eat healthy. So, when I talk about habits happening automatically, this is a really good one to demo this, because I honestly don't know how to food shop and prepare food and eat any other way than how I do it. I start off planning the evening meals for the week ahead. I look at what we're doing as a family, which nights I might be working late, who's in, who's out, and so on. I look at what we've got left, fresh food, in the fridge, what's in the freezer, the cupboards, and then we plan the meals around what we already have and the timing that we know we'll have, and then create a list for the extras we need to buy. And that's what's eaten. That's what is cooked and prepared on an evening. And then lunches are also planned based on what we'll have leftovers. And again, a habit is to try to plan the evening meals that are going to be cooked once, eat twice from, so they're in bulk. And then we'll build any extra lunches that we need around that. Now, I save recipes. That's a habit as well. I've got little folders in my Instagram and I save them as, like meats, fish, veggies, soups. Yes, but it's just so easy because I love saving recipes and I always see them and think, oh, I'll make that. But this process means there's a lot less stress when it comes to meal times. There's less waste because I'm buying what we need, and we do actually waste very little. I freeze a lot. Remember I had a brilliant guest, Kate Hall, on the podcast a couple of months ago talking about her full freezer method, and she gave some great tips about this. So yeah, for me, it's just part of how I am, to intentionally plan those evening meals and the lunches and buy what we need and cook from that. And it also makes sure that we're full, we're satisfied, that we're not then snacking because we're having really balanced, nutritious meals. Most of the time, I'm human. I'm all about balance. Yes, I like a bit of pizza. I just don't really eat takeaways. I'm not that kind of person. Again, because my identity is someone who fuels their body and mind with good, nutritious food. So it's just easier for me to do, follow this meal planning and prepping process because it's natural. It doesn't take effort. It has formed as a habit in my subconscious mind. Now, a couple of other habits that I thought I would share are around mindset. Now, I used to be a person that was definitely cup half empty. I'm much more cup half full now. And some of the habits that I do and have built to help me have this more positive growth type of mindset are things like gratitude practice. And the other one that I was going to mention is the intentional setting at the start of the day. So really getting clear about how do I want today to go? What do I want to feel? What do I want to achieve? So it's not so much initially anyway about the goals that I have for the day, like the stuff I want to get done. It's more about how do I want to show up? And I actually do that at the start of the week and then each morning as well, and then into, okay, what are my top 3 priorities for the day? So things like that are really beneficial. And another habit is around boundaries and looking at how I use social media. So not just around how often I'm on it and the times of day that I go on it, but my feed on social media. This is part of the fuel that you are putting into your body and mind. Fuel is not just about the food that you eat. It is everything, the thoughts, the stuff you look at on social media, what you watch on TV, your friends, family, community, people who are in your life. It's the input of any type that goes in. So for me, curating a feed that is one that supports that person I want to be on social media has been really beneficial, and not using it on a night before bed is a habit that I started actually exactly 2 years ago. And at that time, I also ditched the news. I removed the Daily Mail app from my phone. I used to be addicted to the Daily Mail app before bed. As soon as the alarm went off in the morning, in the middle of the night when I couldn't sleep, I'd be on it, especially when I used to travel and work away and stay in hotels. Those bad habits have been broken and shifted into much more positive beneficial, healthy habits. And finally, my bedtime routine. So this is made up of a few habits actually, but having a bedtime routine overall is a habit I absolutely encourage people to build. For me, skincare is a big part of that. I love to cleanse, tone, moisturize. I really do enjoy taking care of my skin. But having a ritual like that as part of my bedtime routine helps to signal that it is preparing. I'm almost ready for bed. It's telling my brain that it's time to prepare, to unwind and get ready to sleep. One of the other things I love to do is share what I'm grateful for that day with Kev as a way to unwind as we're preparing to both go to sleep when we're in bed together. So just doing that daily reflection and gratitude practice has really shifted something for us. But really, having gratitude throughout the day in different ways has also been a habit that I've built that now becomes much more, it is much more automatic because it's formed as a habit. So as you can see, the habits can be like a blend of those practical, healthy ones that many of us, naturally think about when we talk about improving our health, like the diet that you have, what you eat, and exercise, that movement one. But my habits are also really formed around mindset. That's a big part of it. Lots of different things there that, it's now much more natural for me to be positive to myself, to acknowledge things that I've done well, to show pride and I guess just to celebrate achievements that I've made. I wasn't that person before, but because I started to do that using certain tools and being very intentional about it initially and setting reminders and things like that, these are all techniques to help you build habits. It's become naturally the way that I am. And thinking that way has definitely been a huge unlock into living the healthy life that I live. If you are a regular listener of the podcast or follow me on social, you probably know that I use a framework in my programs and coaching, which is my 5 pillars of wellness. And that is made up of mindset, movement, nutrition, sleep, and stress. And my core habits are all built around those 5 pillars, because when you have positive, strong, helpful, good habits, try not to use the word good, but it naturally just falls into vocabulary some of the time. When I have those habits, or when anyone builds habits across those 5 pillars, that's building solid foundations for strong health and well-being, so that you are going to be feeling good right now, but also investing in your future self, your future health and life. Okay. And there are so many ways, to start building habits, lots of tools. I have a 7-step kind of tip overview that I share when I run workshops on building habits. Lots of ways, including stacking habits and reminders, having tools to help you track habits, because that can be positive for lots of us to know that you're on track, and seeing that visual somewhere as well of the success that you're having each day can be really beneficial. And I thought I would just mention quickly, one of the things that I usually do in the podcast episodes with guests is wrap up with their 3 simple steps to building new habits in the area we've been talking about. So, for example, last week's episode with Sarah McCready was all about self-care and caring for your soul. And so we shared 3 habits or 3 steps to building new habits to take better care of yourself, to prioritize that soul care. And I do that because I want you to get a taste, a flavour of what kind of habits you can have that will help you to live a healthier life. Because if you're listening to me now, if you follow me on social media, you want a healthier life. You want to be living long, strong and healthy, right? So take those tips on board in each of the episodes. Listen to what those expert guests or real people who are sharing their own health transformation story, what they're telling you, and pick up on some of their habits, the things that help them to feel good in their life, and listen to those tips so that you can start right away to build new powerful habits in your life for yourself. And the key I want you to remember here, so I'm going to wrap up with 3 simple steps for you to start building new habits, is the first one, think about the type of person you want to be. Now, maybe you're like, well, I don't want to change. I am the person I want to be. That's fine. I think most of us, it's not about changing who we are. It's about being that best version of ourselves. So get really clear on how you want to be, who you are, what matters to you, and how you want to live the rest of your life. And then think about what one habit right now would you like to build to be that person? So if it's, well, I want to be someone who is really energetic and has lots of vitality when they age. Okay, what habit right now that you don't have in your toolkit could you build to be that person? Okay. And then the next tip is think about just one small step to begin building that habit right away. So it might not be today, but I want it to be in the next day or two max. So in that example, if you're someone who wants to be that vibrant, energized person down the road in your life, and you think, right, what one habit that could be, a morning walk. I want to do that short morning walk. I liked how Nicola shared her commute to work walk. I'm going to become a person who walks on a morning. So attach the habit to your identity. Okay. So you've got how you want to be, who you want to be. That's tip 1. Tip 2, what's the habit? That's the daily morning walk. And tip 3 is that small step, which in this case is literally a step. And I want you to, in the next 2 days, to just walk for 1 minute. That is all, 1 minute. Because maybe you drive to work and you have a bit of a commute. So just maybe put a reminder on your phone to leave the house a minute before, a couple of minutes before, but just walk for 1 minute, even if it's to the end of the street and back, or do it when you get to work before you go into the office, and just make it really small to build up that habit. Because why so many of us fail is that we know what we want and we go for it right away. So it might be that I want to be a person who regularly works out with strength training. So then you go, right, I'm going to go to the gym 4 times. And right now, you're going 0 times. So you join a gym, you pay the money, you sign up for maybe a couple of classes and go to the gym on your own a couple of times. And how long is that going to last for? Because you've dove right in, you've tried to get to the top of the mountain straight away, instead of gradually forming the identity as someone who strength trains regularly because they value their physical and mental health. So break it down and start really small to make that habit something that is automatic, that is a part of who you are. And that is my secret. That's what I've done. And I was doing this. Some of these habits, like the meal planning, I've done that for in a way for probably, again, well over 20 years. I didn't know the process that I was following, and I didn't know I was becoming a person who meal plans and preps and eats nutritious food. But when I started this business and retrained as a coach and studied in women's health and wellness, did my PT qualification, and I really looked at, right, what am I going to actually teach and help through the coaching clients to be able to build their own healthy habits. I realized that I had this process, that I'd been doing this process, and then I read Atomic Habits and thought, my God, this is literally what I have been doing without knowing this. And yes, it works. It works by approaching it in a way that is about becoming a person who does that thing, rather than I must work out, I must exercise 4 times a week, I have to eat healthy, otherwise I'm going to put on weight. A complete flip switch there to being a person who does the thing you want to do. That is your superpower. They are, or your habits are, what form your superpower, because they are what will help you to live that life you want to live, to feel the way you want to feel, to live without illness, disease, pain, to be strong, to have good mobility when you're older, so that you can travel and do all those wonderful things you want for yourself. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. It wasn't quite as short as I intended. I should have learned by now how these solo episodes usually go. But I think it's been a good episode. I hope you've enjoyed it. And please, as always, if you have enjoyed it, make sure you're a subscriber. Hit subscribe so that you get notified when a new episode lands every Tuesday morning. And give us a rating. Help me to get this podcast in the ears of more women out there, so that we can all support ourselves to live full, healthy, happy, long, strong lives, because we're all here to have a brilliant long life, aren't we? Thank you, and enjoy the rest of your day. And remember, take that first small step towards that new habit in the next couple of days. Bye for now.